who is Solomon Peña? Well, it's pretty clear based on his social media who he is. Here is a message that he put out on Twitter. Trump just announced for 2024, I stand with him. I never conceded my HD 14 race, House District. Now researching my options. He's got his Make America Great Again thing on, some Trump flags. And he spent a couple of months considering his options, and the option he seemed to land on was, I'm going to hire people to shoot at the houses of county commissioners and things like that. He apparently had visited at least 3 commissioners following the election, complaining about his defeat, presenting paperwork he believed proved his case. It was shortly after these visits that the shootings began. By the way, while he mostly just hired people to do this, he is believed to have attended the final shooting and perhaps even pulled the trigger. For some reason, when it came to State Senator Linda Lopez, he wanted to be involved in that one more personally, and maybe be the person who pulls the trigger on a gun that fires a bullet that hits the state senator or a staffer or a family member or random constituent. How fun. Of course, multiple people were targeted with this. And we know more about him from his social media activity. There had been a person who replied to the earlier tweet that I showed you, mentioning that Peña had been convicted a number of years ago of 19 different felonies, okay? He responded to that back in December of last year saying, you need to learn how to read public records. It was 9 years, 3 days. The person had said that he spent almost 7 years in prison, and apparently Peña wanted credit for the more than 9 that he had spent. He said, I spent the time studying. I think I read A Tale of Two Cities 5 times. I think that one component of incarceration should be rehabilitation, and plenty of people do rehabilitate themselves and should be allowed to contribute to society once again. He appears to have learned all the wrong lessons from his time there. Oh, also, you're gonna be shocked to find out that he, according to him, participated in the insurrection on January 6th. He posted this photo of that as well. And so it would be one thing, Danielle, if it was just a guy who had sour grapes and decided, you know what's cool in America in 2022? Killing your political opponents. But this is a guy who insisted that Trump won in 2020, years after the loss. It's a guy who is tweeting at Katie Hobbs that her win over Carrie Lake was rigged and you can't trust that. And so it really does seem, as you said earlier on the show, to be tied into this inability to reckon with the unpopularity of their positions, that no loss can be legitimate. Every single bad thing that happens to them is either the matrix coming for them or it's a rigged election.
I mean, here's what I will start out by saying: the Republicans clearly only send their best, right? Like that's what they do, right? So whether it is George Santos or it is Solomon, they only send their best. When you create a climate where there are quote unquote alternative facts, which began with the era of Trump and Trumpism, then you create this idea that I don't have to believe anything that my political opponents say. I don't have to believe the fact that I've lost, even if the margin is as wide as it was for Solomon. I mean, you're talking about, this was not we're down to 100 votes and we have to recount them. You're talking about a loss that was like over 3,500 votes that he lost by, right?
It's not close.
Right, it's not close. And so the idea that they're never going to concede, that it doesn't matter, what it's like, we're creating a climate. Republicans are creating a climate where running for office is now dangerous, right? Where it's not just about whether or not you are, you're up for the social media threats, right? That happen, particularly if you're a woman and particularly if you're a person of color. And then if you are living at the intersection of the multiple identities, you're gonna face those kinds of egregious, disgusting threats that come via social media. But now you need to watch your back, literally, right? And so what will happen? It will send people who want to be public servants and do good away from being a part of government, whether it be at the local, state, or federal level. Because anybody it's the same thing that's happening with teachers, right? Who the hell wants to be a teacher in a public school in this day and age? You can't even go into a classroom with second graders and think that you're not gonna get shot. right? Like that is happening. So, I think that by not addressing the political escalation of violence, by not talking about like this and its connection to, pry these guns and gas stoves out of my cold dead hands, like this whole type of rhetoric is just a tinderbox, and the Republicans are spraying gasoline and lighting matches every single day.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's very frustrating. Like, I guess I am astounded that there aren't more successful acts of targeted political violence. I say that because obviously there have been some that, from the point of view of the terrible person, they were successful. But yeah, it's just the constant, like they're letting George Santos into the party. Like their commentary on this guy, the Republican Party in New Mexico, condemned him, saying, if Peña is found guilty, he must be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Oh, well, very, very bold. A strong stance against political violence. First of all, I don't even understand in terms of the timeline how that's supposed to work. If he's found guilty, he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But that's how you'd find out if he was guilty. He has to be prosecuted first. So you're just you're distancing yourself so far from the concept that one of your candidates did something bad that you're creating temporal vortexes. But anyway, yeah, you don't have to worry on the other side. Not in the same. Nobody's trying to like kill Lauren Boebert, and thank God. I don't want that. But why is it that on the left the candidates are just continually hounded in this way? And that, as Danielle said, when repeated like gunshots at buildings, it doesn't even make national news. At least make it a national news story, so that Fox News can go out of their way to ignore it. At least, but now they're not even required to ignore it because everyone is ignoring it, and that's frustrating.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.